So let's be honest. The last 10 years, we've been bombarded by all these numbers. 22 मिलियन बच्चा स्कूल से बाहर है, 40% इस मुल्क के 5th graders का एक सिंपल सी स्टोरी नहीं पढ़ सकता. Only 9 out of 100 Pakistanis will make their way to university. But when we're constantly hearing these numbers, what starts to happen? I think that after a while, they stop being real for us. The sheer magnitude of the problem of education inequity is so great that the mind boggles and reduces human beings to a data point. And the second that happens, this mass of people who suffer what can only be called a great injustice, they cease to be our problem. Educational inequity ceases to be our problem. And so here's my invitation to you today. Spend some time with me grappling with some tough questions. कि आखिर एजुकेशन इनइक्विटी है क्या, और ये जनरेशन अपॉन जनरेशन क्यों परपेचुएट हुए जाती है. जिन लोगों की ज़िंदगी का ये हिस्सा है जो इसको फेस करते हैं, उनकी ज़िंदगी दिखती कैसे है, और हमारा, मेरा और आपका क्या रोल है इस प्रॉब्लम को ख़त्म करने में. सो आए मिलते हैं अली से. अली एक कच्ची आबादी में रहते हैं, जस्ट ऑफ कश्मीर हाईवे, राइट हेयर इन इस्लामाबाद. He's 11 years old and he has 3 great passions in life. He loves cricket, pranking his older brother, and taking apart gadgets that people have thrown away. अली के पास 2 किताबें हैं, दोनों पिक्चर बुक्स. वो अक्सर उन किताबों को खोलता है और हर दफ़ा तस्वीरों को देखकर एक नई कहानी बनाता है. जो इन किताबों में लिखा है, अली वो पढ़ नहीं सकता. वो 6 साल से एक स्कूल जा रहा है, मगर उसको कुछ ही चंद अल्फाज ऐसे हैं जो वो पहचान सकता है, क्योंकि उसने उनकी शेप जो है वो मेमोराइज कर ली. अली का जो स्कूल है, जो उसकी क्लास है, उसमें एक टीचर है, 75 बच्चे हैं, और उस टीचर को एक ही जॉब दी हुई है कि किसी भी शर्त पे, किसी भी कीमत पर सिलेबस ज़रूर ख़त्म कराना है. अली की वालदा, जो एक करीबी कम्युनिटी के अंदर पार्ट टाइम मेड के तौर पे काम करती हैं, हर रोज़ सुबह उठती हैं और बड़े मोहब्बत से अपने बेटे को तैयार करके स्कूल भेजती हैं, इस उम्मीद के साथ कि उसको वो मौके मिलेंगे जो उनको खुद मुयस्सर ना थे. आज ज़्यादा परेशान है क्योंकि पिछले माह उन्होंने 20,000 रुपये बोरो किए थे. आज वो लोन लौटाना है. उनके घर की छत एक आंधी में उड़ गई थी और उनको पैसों की ज़रूरत थी उस छत को ठीक करने के लिए. और ऊपर से अली की वही रट कि स्मार्टफोन चाहिए ताकि गली में और बच्चों के साथ खेल सके, और उसकी माँ का वही जवाब कि अगले महीने बेटा. That month is not coming. And so if we think about it, why is Ali's family's life the way that it is? Are these people lazy? Are they unintelligent? That's what we've been told to believe, right, about poor people. But it doesn't seem that way, क्योंकि ये औरत सुबह 8 से लेके शाम 7 बजे तक 6 दिन काम करती है हफ्ते में. She's resourceful enough to build her own house. Ali's knack for electronics puts adults like me to shame. And then if we think about a school for a second, why is that the way that it is? Is his principal just a fundamentally uncaring human being? Another myth that we've been told to believe because it explains away very easily the ills of our education system. The problem, though, is that in my 12 years of working with public school educators, I found that the majority of them are working very hard to just keep their schools functioning. You know, they pay out of pocket to get furniture fixed. They will cut through tons of red tape to fight for another room to be built in that school so that a class of 75 kids can be split into a size that is humanly teachable. They take classes themselves because there are so many teacher shortages. And given that this is what's happening in the school and this is what's happening in his life, what do we think Ali's future is going to be? We don't know for sure, but given that he can't read or write, I don't think that he's going to end up finishing school. His mother has spoken to a tailor in the community who has agreed to let Ali apprentice with him when he turns 14 for a small fee. And so when I think about what his predictable future is going to be, I look at a child who is going to become a man who lives on a meager tailor's income month to month. He will likely have kids. Will he find the hope? Will he be able to access it to believe that school will do more for his kids than it did for him? If it was me, I would find that very, very hard. So this is education inequity. A child born to a poor family is already behind by the time they get to school. These schools have not been set up to meet their needs. Forget their needs, any children's needs. They're just not oriented to promote learning or growth. There's often not enough teachers to even man every class. And the teachers who work there have not been enlisted and are neither being supported to do anything except help kids regurgitate content for exams. Even in schools where there may be a computer lab, there are no tech programs, there are no remedial programs, there's no enrichment programs, there's no nutrition drives. And these are elements that are essential for any child to learn and grow, but especially for kids whose families are struggling to get them to and through school. And so what's going to happen? When they hit the job market, for the kids who do beat the odds, when they hit the job market, they're going to realize they still didn't make it. They have what are seen as critical deficits, like critical thinking ability, like English language skills, like a social network of influential people in important roles. And so these kids will continue to run the race, and they will continue to lose that race. And this is education inequity. And it is the story of the vast majority of our country's children. So अब क्या करना है? What do we do? How do we alter the future, not for one child, not for one Ali, not for 1,000 of them, not for 100,000 of them, but for all of them? I think that the answer lies in changing 180 degrees how we think about education reform. अभी क्या होता है? As a nation, हम charitable लोग हैं, हम generous लोग हैं. हम देते हैं, अपने दिल से देते हैं. We donate to schools, we donate books and uniforms, and we put poor children through schooling by paying for their fees. All incredible, important efforts. But once the charity is done, we are out. We leave the rest to government. And governments, in turn, invest in short-term projects that create piecemeal and often unsustainable change just in time, though, for the next election cycle. But ये जो education reform का काम है, this is not work that's going to happen in 3 or 5 years. It's not work that's going to happen if we keep doing superficial solutions or we keep trying to tackle one problem at a time. So many problems across the system. And so what do we need? I think हमें ज़रूरत है ambitious और visionary leaders की, जो कि education reform को drive कर सके. सिर्फ education के अंदर से नहीं, मगर उन बाकी सारे सेक्टर्स और पावर सेंटर्स से भी जहां एजुकेशन के बारे में इंपॉर्टेंट फैसले होते हैं, रिसोर्सेज एलोकेट होते हैं, सोच ड्राइव होती है कि एजुकेशन में क्या करना है. हमें उन टीचर्स और प्रिंसिपल्स की ज़रूरत है जो अनथक मेहनत करें बच्चों के साथ, इसलिए नहीं कि वो टेस्ट पास कर जाएं, बट इसलिए ताकि उनकी ज़िंदगी का रुख बदल सके. हमें उन पॉलिटिशियंस और सिविल सर्वेंट्स की ज़रूरत है जो कि सिर्फ एक एजेंडा के साथ प्लानिंग करें कि बच्चों को किस चीज़ की ज़रूरत है. हमें उन बिजनेस और सिविक लीडर्स की ज़रूरत है जो अपना मसला बनाकर एजुकेशन में एक्सेलेंस के लिए एडवोकेट करें, एंड नथिंग शॉर्ट ऑफ एक्सेलेंस. हमें उन कम्युनिटी लीडर्स की ज़रूरत है जो वालिदैन की आवाज़ को सहारा दें, उनकी आवाज़ को स्ट्रेंथन करें ताकि वो स्कूल्स को खुद अकाउंटेबल ठहरा सकें. हमें उन सोशल एंटरप्रेन्योर्स, उन इनोवेटर्स की ज़रूरत है जो सॉल्यूशंस बनाएं मगर सबसे पसमानदा इलाकों में रहने वाले बच्चों के लिए, और उनको एम्पावर करें, ना सिर्फ इसलिए ताकि वो इस टूटी हुई दुनिया में अपनी जगह बना सके, बट इस तरह एम्पावर करें कि वो एक नई दुनिया इमेजिन करके एक नई दुनिया बना सके. एंड सो आई बेट यूर आस्किंग कि तस्वीर तो बड़ी खूबसूरत है, बट ये लीडर्स आएंगे कहाँ से? हम में से, from among people like you and me. And I think that takes first owning the problem of education inequity, like it is our problem, and getting just as angry about it as we would about, for instance, rising fuel prices. And I think second, it takes letting go of this idea, this fantasy कि एक great grand leader है at the top जो हमारे मुल्क के, हमारे नेशन के मसाइल हल करेगा. मसाइल का हल हमारी कलेक्टिव रिसोर्सेज, हमारे कलेक्टिव टैलेंट्स, हमारी कलेक्टिव एनर्जी, हमारी कलेक्टिव लीडरशिप में है. और सिर्फ इसी लीडरशिप के थ्रू हम इन सिस्टम्स को चेंज कर सकते हैं ताकि ये डिलीवर करें हमारे सबसे मार्जिनलाइज लोगों के लिए. And I think the third thing it takes is a deep belief that while this road is hard and it's going to take great personal commitment that is enduring over time, at the end of that road is a day when all of our children, not just my children or your children, but all our children, have the opportunity to become loving, thinking, and engaged human beings. I think that's a future worth fighting for.